All right, Darius, welcome to the podcast. Thanks so much for hanging out with me.
Thanks, Bruce. Appreciate it.
Where are you from? Tell everybody where you're from.
Born and raised in San Diego,
Oh,
San
really?
Diego, California. Yeah, yeah.
Where, well, you're not in San Diego now, are you?
I'm not. I'm not. But you said where I'm from.
That's right.
I took you. I took you literally.
I did.
I am in the hill country of Texas, in between Austin and San Antonio, and we opened a pizzeria last year in Dripping Springs, Texas.
That's all right. I love California. What made you go to Texas?
California made me go.
That's hilarious. Was it just too expensive to be there?
No, I just got frustrated. I've been there my entire life, and I got frustrated. I come from two sides of the family. Both had businesses.
Yeah.
Just running a business in that state was more and more complicated. COVID kind of came and shook things up, and I had said for about 18, 20 years I was going to move to Texas, and I finally did. Funny story, I had my Texas driver's license in 2013 and probably shouldn't admit to this, but I kept it that entire time, saying one day I'm gonna come across that border, and I did. So
That's great. I mean, I've heard that a lot. Like California is, I think I was talking to Alex from Hot Tongue Pizza, and we were talking about how he got his pizzeria opened and how much of a process that was and how much longer and more expensive it took. Just because, like, there's a lot of uh, whole, hoops to go through in order to open a business and like checks and balances, and it just seems like they don't really have it very organized. So
oh
we talked
well,
about
I
that
mean,
in the podcast. It was hard.
I think it's organized. It's organized bureaucracy. But
Yeah.
at the end of the day, I got my permits in 2 weeks, which was insane, and I still don't ever want to do a restaurant build out again. So there you
There you go.
go.
That's crazy. So tell us a little bit about your pizza now.
We are New York and Detroit style pizza, pizza by the slice and whole pies. Funny thing in Texas, I kind of felt the need to say that we do whole pies because when you say you do slices, people are like, "Well, can you order a whole pie too?" Like, yeah, yeah, you can.
Yeah.
Um, we we're focused on producing a quality product that the market doesn't really have in a fast food, in the fast food sector, let's say. So we're QSR all day long. We got like 8 seats in the front of house. It's get in, get out, and come back again soon.
Yeah. Do you do delivery
Um,
and stuff?
we do delivery through the third parties. I want so badly to do my own delivery. I was listening to your podcast with the founder of Slice and getting really excited about um, how that trend is kind of going in the direction that I want to go. But no, at the moment it's takeout delivery. We have a drive-through that I want badly to activate, and we can talk all about that too.
Yeah, that's great. I think, yeah, I talked to Ilir from Slice, and so we had our own drivers. So there's like been a evolving kind of piece to the delivery aspect. Like when I was operating for a long time, there wasn't third parties. Then these third party kind of came in and people wanted to work for them. And I think now the states are kind of regulating those third parties more and
Yeah,
more.
yeah.
And I think it's becoming less lucrative for delivery drivers to work for those third parties. The only thing that those third parties have over the independent driving opportunities at independent shops is the flexibility of like you can just kind of work when you want. Like you can turn it off and on when you want. I think as long as they have that, that's going to be the only thing that makes
So
it better. But
yeah, I'm going to tell you something about these delivery drivers, right? We get a fair amount of them, and
yeah,
I would say on the whole, most of them are really cool people. Every once in a while you get the one that's begrudging all pizzeria owners or all restaurateurs because maybe they got treated poorly somewhere else, or
yeah,
and then some of them, God bless them, they have a language barrier. I've noticed over the last year, we just see more and more people who come in and they just flip the screen around. They're like, "This is my order," because they can't speak anything
yeah,
that we speak, right? And so I've found it very, very interesting that, when you start talking to them and you start, chatting with them and you build a relationship with them, it becomes this like, well, I'd work somewhere else, but nowhere else gives me the flexibility. And I'm just like, okay, I mean, all I have to do is offer them an hourly wage
yeah.
and they're going to have the same flexibility. And then my insurance guy comes at me and he's like, are you kidding me? We're not doing that. So we can talk about how I mean someone's got to come out here in 2024 and say here's the easy solution for doing insurance for delivery drivers, because I think that's really the only thing that holds me back, and many others that I hear.
When you say the guy won't do it, what do you mean by that?
They're just like, well, the insurance is cost prohibitive. How are you supposed to make the kind of money that you're expecting to make and pay, I don't know, an extra $1,000 a month in insurance? I'm spitballing, but
Yeah,
what
yeah,
I've heard has been like an insane amount of money.
yeah. Oh, to have
So
delivery drivers on your
on your
payroll, so to
payroll,
speak.
right?
Yeah,
Which is why everybody else, why most pizzerias that you hear of tend to try to take this 1099 approach, this contractor approach, which frankly I'm all for. I have a background in the mortgage business. I was a mortgage broker forever. I was 1099. I was you pay your own taxes. The staff that I have still to this day, please don't put me on payroll. I don't want I want to pay my own taxes. I want to funnel it through this. But the world around us, the state regulations, the government, federal regulations, they tend to want to see those tax dollars
yeah,
fly in straight off of the paycheck. And you're right, it's changing the environment.
yeah. It's hard to do. I mean, it's hard to manage your own delivery drivers too. It's like two different businesses in one. Because
Yeah, you said you have like a manager for the delivery drivers, and you had a
yeah,
manager for the front of house, and it's like,
yeah.
oh,
We had a pizza business and we did, it was like probably 65% delivery and then 45%, like we had a small dining room. So it wasn't like a lot of people sitting in there, takeout, maybe more, maybe 70-30. And yeah, we'd have, 10, 12 delivery drivers on a Friday night and you'd have to have a manager back there, like managing them because you know how people are,
right,
you have this whole big screen of delivery drivers and there's like, there's 10 deliveries ready to be delivered and you're supposed to go by like the oldest one. Like you come in the door, the driver takes the oldest one, they take that and they go. But you know how people are. People look at the screen and they're like, oh, that one's got a $10 tip. Let me just try to sneak that one in. Or that one's 2 seconds away, so I can take that one and then come back and get another one. So it's like you had to have a manager there when it's busy to kind of organize and make sure everything's on the up and up because then you have them bitching at each other and it's like a whole nother business over there.
sounds fun.
It's fun. Like, listen, it's way more lucrative to have your own drivers if you can manage it than
Oh, for sure.
worrying about third-party
Yeah.
deliveries. But it's a separate business because it's a whole separate schedule, whole separate system. It's a whole different animal. And that's when we're busy, right? It's even harder when you're not busy because then you either pay someone to sit around or they get pissed because they're not making any money because you don't have enough deliveries to guarantee them business.
Well, see, I'm in that kind of spot right now where I have multiple channels I'm looking at, and some channels I should be focusing more on. So you have the takeout. It's a solid chunk. We somehow found our way to more online orders on almost
Yeah.
day one. Um, and so that helps, right? It helps with staffing when people go online. The problem is my online ordering is terrible, and
What do you use?
I feel terrible even saying.
Just say it. It's
I
fine.
don't want to throw them under the
We'll
bus,
bleep it out
but
if it's really bad. If we really bash them.
no, I'm in Hunger Rush.
Okay.
We were going down the road of, hey, maybe we'll go into franchise, and we looked at what these franchises were doing, and this seemed like something that they were looking at, and it's just it's too arcane, it's too clunky, it's too, yeah. And
What could it
so
be? So let's take it a different approach. Instead of like saying, "Hey, we're not going to bash them because we know it sucks," but like, what could they do to make it good? Like, what could they change to make it better for you? So if they're listening to this, they could take it as like, say, "Hey, here's some advice on what to do and make it better." Because I'm sure
okay, so
if you're saying that,
I've
I've
shared,
heard it from a lot of other people too. So
yeah, and I've shared this with them, and the biggest problem, and they'll be the first to admit it, right? They've changed leadership structure far too many times in the last, I would say, even 2 years. And
yeah,
so the true course, the true north direction of where the company is going, they constantly are trying to find what that is. And I've heard it from the people that are there to support me, which do a great job, and the people that are there to support them, which do a great job. They're good people. But the problem that we're running into is that their framework is old. And so it's like, here we're on a ship that's, not necessarily sinking, but it just doesn't have the same navigational tools as the modern ships that are out there. And so we'll add this on and we'll add this on. And what they do, which is very common in the POS world, I've come to learn, is they'll purchase another, company. They'll purchase a module. They'll purchase another tech stack, and they'll just put it together.
Integrate it, yeah.
And they kind of put it together with duct tape. So it's like
Yeah.
you've got to log into 4 different, portals in order to get what you need done. And it's problematic. I can't, from my POS, I can't mark something out of stock and mark it and let's say pause ordering or turn on ordering or deal with my integrations to third party. Like I can mark something out of stock, but I can't get it to out of stock on my third parties.
Got it.
I can pause something, but I can't. And so it becomes, I have to have these other tools because I refuse. On day one, I'm like, I'm never going to have like 16 iPads in my shop. Not going to happen.
Yeah.
And so I partnered with Checkmate. It's a Checkmate. And they've been good, easy-ish to work with, but they've got me on some legacy plan because Hunger Rush is on a legacy, framework. And so anytime I call and ask to do something, they're like, well, because you're on the legacy, it's like, okay, I'm just.
Yeah. See, that's the problem that I would have with third-party sites too. Is a lot of these POS systems don't integrate, so it's like you're still putting in. It's like, what hours do you want to put in? Do you want to put in hours to kind of call in tech support, trying to figure this all out, or do you want to put in hours to try to hire and manage delivery drivers? Because it's kind of like the same process. It's not the same process, but it's like the same amount of work. It's just different work.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, and you look at the channels that I was mentioning, right? So you've got online, and you've got, look at, like I saw a butterfly and I just went off into the ether. We have the online ordering, we have the in-house, at the counter. Very little dine-in because our AC is really struggling to keep up, and so I'm in constant fights with the MEC, the mechanical and electric contractor, and the engineers, and going back and forth with HVAC and the hood vent guy. The hood vent's overproductive, and so like dine-in is a non-existent thing. Granted, it's a self-fulfilling prophecy, but I didn't want it to be where you come into the shop and you're like, oh, it's hot, and it's like, yep, and you'll know the pizzas are hot too.
Yeah.
But then you have someone who's like a smarter a-hole than me, and they're going to respond with, yeah, well, I don't want sweat in my pizza. And it's like, okay, okay.
Is it like super hot in there?
Yeah. I mean, it's getting better. Like we're doing the same thing. We're putting together with duct tape. I get someone to come out and get the second stage cooling to come back on, whatever. Yeah. But I really want to turn on my drive-through. If I could turn on my drive-through. And of course, catering is a big deal too.
So why don't you turn on the drive-through?
Because I have too many steps, like time and motion, right? Too many steps to get from the drive-through window to my oven.
Oh, for someone to order, you mean? Like, I think the drive-through best for you would either be sell slices out the drive-through or just pick up stuff.
Yeah, so when I opened, it was like I see all these brands that happen to have a drive-through. Like Domino's has a drive-through, and some of these other franchises have drive-throughs. I mean, Little Caesars has a drive-through.
I think I did it. Fat Boys Pizza in Louisiana. They have a bunch of drive-throughs that they do pizza with. Yeah.
And I think they're the only ones that do by the slice through the drive-through, if I'm not mistaken.
I think they do that only by the slice, because it's just logistically easier.
And they were the only ones that I have seen that did slices in my market in the rest of the United States. I mean, you bring it up to the average human being who's not nerding out on pizzerias like you and I, they're going to say, I've never seen slices through a drive-through.
Right.
And
which is weird. I don't know why they haven't done that before, because it seems like the same thing as it would be like a burger or sandwich.
I said the same thing. The same thing. So for us, we've got our oven in the mid front of the store, and we've got the drive-through window in the back of the store. And so I have to hire 2 additional people, one person who can run product back and forth, and one person who can sit at the window. And even that person at the window is going to have to run product back and forth. I have to add a new oven, okay, so the other option is to add a new oven so I don't have someone running back and forth, and I just have a warming oven for slices.
Yeah.
So I'm struggling there. I'm trying to figure out what's the right time and when do I pull the plug or pull the trigger, because summer has been kind of a super lackluster period for us. We killed it in spring and the tail end of winter, and brand new pizza shop doing 70K a month. We were just in hog heaven. Granted, we had just started breaking even, so we weren't making
Right.
any kind of money, but it was just like, oh my gosh, this is going to be amazing. And summer, and then you think, wait, we're in Texas, it's hot. And in our area, which is pseudo affluent, they're taking off and they're running to the beach and they're spending however many weeks there fishing. And it's like, okay, we're all staffed up for what?
So summer wasn't busy for you?
Summer was like 15 to 20% down. And
Wow.
summer is still in that, we're still in summer. And I think we're going to have a late heat too into September. And I think that has something to do with it.
How long you been open for?
A whopping 8 months.
Okay, so you're still in the first year, so you don't really
Actually,
know.
tomorrow, the 29th, I don't know when this is airing, but tomorrow is the 29th of August, and we'll be exactly 8 months.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
I was doing some research the other day and I put something out on LinkedIn. I said it says 60. There's a stat that says 60% of pizzerias don't make it the first year. Now, don't make it doesn't mean they close. It means like the owners either sell to somebody else or they close. That's a high ratio for people who don't last a full year. So to make it even 8 months and be profitable is impressive, and you should be, you should congratulate yourself on that because it's not easy.
Well, I'd like to wait until I start putting something in my pocket. How about that?
That's true. That's what everybody says, right? Like that you gotta start being profitable is one thing, but if you can pay yourself, it's another. But you're still in the first year, so you don't really know what a business is like until you do it for a year or two, even, because
Yeah,
that's when you can
no
see
clue about trends.
yeah,
No
that's
clue
when you
about
can see the
trends.
cycles. Like we
Yep.
were doing our
Yeah.
business, it was around for a long time. Like I could tell you when I was operating my business, I could tell you a Tuesday in March, I could tell you probably within $100 what we're going to do for sales, just because I could look back at the data from last month, from last year, from 2 years ago. What holidays are around the corner? Are kids in school? Are they not in school? What's the weather like? I could give you a really good indication of what we're going to do in sales pretty accurately, but I had a lot of data to back it up. We were around for a long time. So it's going to be hard for you.
Yeah.
The first year is always hard because you don't know. Like sometimes it's like, now next summer, you're going to be like, oh man, last summer we were dead. Next summer, you're going to be like, oh shit, now it's super busy. I totally messed up the schedule because I way understaffed, and then you're gonna have to go back and look at the third year and be like, all right, what was the difference? Like you need a couple of years to figure it out.
Well, yeah. I mean, we don't know what holidays look like. I mean, we
Yeah.
still we still don't know what holidays look like. I gotta do a little sidebar here. When we were on Instagram messaging back and forth, I felt like I was fangirling a little bit, so I'm sorry.
That's
Um,
good. It's all good.
but I I heard one of your podcasts about 4 months ago, I think, and you were talking about not is it Boostly? Is that what we're using?
The text marketing, yeah.
Yeah, Boostly. I thought I was confusing it with something else, but Boostly we pulled on right before Fourth of July, like a few weeks before Fourth of July, and here I'm thinking, it's a crazy holiday. Are people going to show up? Are they not going to show up? And we ran like 2 days before I put a special out, which God bless Hunger Rush couldn't get my coupons working, so I'm manually, like dealing with these coupons.
Yeah.
But we put a I don't know, some kind of a buy one get one or 9.99 for a large or something like that. And I think thanks to that, we had business on Fourth of July. It was like 30 something redemptions of the coupon,
That's pretty good.
and I'm like, wow, if it wasn't for that, it would be, it'd be an absolute dead day. So
Yeah. Sometimes you gotta look at that too. And like when we were doing promotions and specials, we would look at that and be like, all right, what's traditionally a not busy day for us, so we don't have to cut staff at all. We can like kind of put something out and like, yeah, you're not going to make your most profit on it because you're giving it at a discount, but at least you're kind of keeping your staff busy and not bored and doing something. So sometimes there's a give and take when it comes to like those things. But yeah, I agree. Like Boostly does a good job of that. Did you buy Hunger Rush like when you opened the pizzeria, or did you buy an existing pizzeria?
no, we were a Gen 1, so it was a dress shop before
Oh, okay.
us.
So you
No, it
bought
was a
Hunger
it was
Rush.
a yeah. Yeah, and we bought Hunger Rush and we negotiated an insane deal, right? But the problem was is that, no matter how good the deal is, it's just not functioning the way I want it to.
Yeah.
Um, And the
So you're
people that
looking
I
for
negotiated with and the people that made me feel comfortable about it and the people that
are
said they were
gone.
going to be there are not there anymore. None of them.
Yeah. Are you looking for a
Uh,
new POS system, or are you just going to kind of wing it?
so there's this really cool POS that I found that is brand new to the US. They launched in the UK last year, maybe year and a half ago. Brian happens to be a really cool dude who used to work with some of these bigger POSs out there, and he's the CEO. Happens to live in my restaurant's neighborhood, so to speak.
Okay.
And I don't think we're gonna give them a shot.
What's the name of it?
Um, they're called Grain POS,
Like
and the
GRAIN?
E at the end, yeah.
Okay.
And what I like about it is they're the only POS that's ever come out and said anything to me about how we want to get you customers. And so part of their whole thing is at no extra charge, we're going to run a marketing team for you doing, pay per click, SEO, SEM. We're gonna basically try to funnel because hey, it's self-serving. Very similar to what Slice and Ilar were saying the other day.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, Ilir.
Alir. Yeah.
Very similar to what they were saying. Um, the whole concept is we're incentivized as a POS company to have you do better. So we
Yep.
want to show you that we're incentivized by bringing more customers to your door. All we're paying for is the budget of, the Google AdWords or whatever. They build it all on my account. So I own everything. And if I end up parting ways with them, I take everything, all the campaigns, everything, it's all mine, and I walk, to the next. But what's really cool is that they don't have a lot of pizza places,
Yeah.
and so I'm getting an opportunity, just I guess dumb luck, getting the opportunity to help them build it out the way I want to see it, the way that I've read, the way that I've seen, the way that I've talked about with a lot of these, industry veterans, and try to put together something that take some of the experience that I've had when I worked very short stint, but when I worked in fine dining kitchens, being able to look at actual timing, understanding the sequence of firing, how to make sure that things are coming out at the same time, and try to like my whole shtick is I want to bring a true hospitality back to the game, not the hospitality that makes me feel good, but like I want to treat people better than they deserve to be treated. That's it's weird, right? And that's where I differentiate with a lot of the other guys out there who are like, no, I want to make what I want to make, which I don't blame them. I want to make what I want to make too. I want to do
Right.
what I want to do. I want to make what I want to make. And if you don't like it or if you're this or that, there's the door. I struggle with that. Okay. I
Yeah.
really do. And it's gonna make me crazy, and it's already making me crazy. But someone walks out of my door, they come into my door and they turn around and walk out and they say, whatever, I'm done. I don't want to come in. I don't want to eat. Not my thing. There's no place to sit, whatever. I hunt him down. I follow him out the door and I'm like, hey, excuse me. Sorry to bug you. I saw you walked into my shop and you turn around. I'm like the helicopter parent to my restaurant. I got to know, please, no harm, no foul if you don't want to answer, but can you tell me why you turned around? Oh yeah, the slice just didn't look. It was just cheese and pepperoni, and the slice of the day I wasn't really interested in. Or I don't know, it was a little warm. Or you obviously didn't put any effort into your dining. I'm like, that's correct. Guilty.
Yeah.
I'm like, look, let me buy you a slice. You either get to come back and tell me that it was amazing or not. And without fail, they come back and you're the guy that bought me a slice. You're the guy that bought me a pizza. You're the guy, whatever.
So let me push back on you on that a little bit.
Push back,
All right.
please.
Because I think you're saying two different things. I think you are doing what you want to do, but that's nothing wrong. There's nothing wrong with going and asking a customer like why they left. I don't think that's like not doing what you want to do. You're like trying to improve your business and ask questions. So I think you're doing a little bit of both, right? Because it wasn't like they said, "Oh, I wanted pineapple and jalapeno on my pizza." You're like, "All right, let me go make that for you real quick."
Fair.
You know?
Fair.
You just
fair.
is like, "This is what we have. Like, why didn't you like it?"
Which I do though. I don't like pineapple on my pizza,
Yeah.
but all of a sudden I'm out there on Instagram telling people I do because I'm a big boy and I can recognize when I might make a mistake. And flavor is flavor is
Yeah.
flavor. And I'm not saying that it's the right thing, but I put blueberries on my pizza the other day, right? I'm not following any rules. Like, I don't want to follow any rules. I want to have fun, but I want to I want to bring something to someone, and maybe they don't care, maybe they do. I'm still going to try to get them to try it.
Yeah,
I'm
that's great.
still, I don't know. Obviously, you can hear you're pushing back on my question, and I'm like, thinking about what I'm saying. I'm like, okay, it doesn't maybe make a lot of sense all the time, but I don't know.
I don't think that's wrong. I don't think you're doing anything wrong, and I don't think. Listen, that's the great thing about pizza, is technically there's no rules, right? Like you can like there's gonna be people who message me and be like, "Oh, Neapolitan has rules," but like, yeah, but we're not serving a Neapolitan pizza and like claiming it's Neapolitan. The cool thing about pizza is that you can kind of do whatever you want to do with it, and ultimately, there's gonna be people who come into your restaurant who ask for something. You're like, "I'm not doing that." You can't do everything for everyone because you are running a business. You do have employees. You do have to stay within budget and make sure that if you do make something, it's got to be good, right? Like you can't just make something because somebody asked for it and it sucks. And then you're like, yeah, you made it for me, but it blows, So you got to make sure like you kind of have, there's like that fine line you have to be part of.
Yeah, no, it's, I find myself struggling with that on a regular basis. Now, I think if you look, which is so weird, right? I don't know if it was you that posted the other day. Somebody posted online like it's 2024 and restaurant operators are all of a sudden being content creators.
Yeah. I mean, it sucks, but it's part of the job, I guess now, right?
It's weird, right? It's weird, and so you'll do something like what can I do to get likes and what can I do to get and I understand now finally why these high school kids are struggling so much with why don't people like me? Why didn't they comment? And it's like, because we're sitting there, we're giving of our heart and soul that we, us foodie types like to do, right? When you're a cook in the kitchen or a chef in a restaurant and you're putting out something and somebody comes back and says it doesn't have enough salt or hey, where's the A1 sauce? It's like, what?
Yeah. Yeah.
But at the same time, I get these. I get this, like we're hunting for attention because at the end of the day, that's the way to get attention in the restaurant space today.
Yeah.
Having someone drive 45 minutes away and they've passed like umpteen pizzerias to come is the coolest thrill in the world. But then you're like, why? And it's because of some stupid video on Instagram, which I didn't think people were going to like, and they liked. And then the ones that I thought they were going to love, they just didn't even track, didn't even register.
Yeah.
So it's
the key is to get people in the door, and then like you use social media to get them to try you. But then the pizza, the atmosphere, your hospitality, that's what gets them to like be a customer.
Right.
So I put something out there too. I was like, you know what? Because I was getting sick of that too. Like sometimes I want to post something to social media and I swore really bad there. I don't give a crap if it does good or not. It's just something that I want to get out there and say. So sometimes you have to have a balance of like this strategy when it comes to that. Like I know what's going to track well. So sometimes I'll be like, all right, I know it's going to do well. I'm going to put it out there. And sometimes I think to myself, this post isn't going to do well because it's not like what the algorithm wants or what people think they want to see. And I'm like, I don't give a shit. I'm putting it out there anyway because I want to say something and I'm just going to do it. And like, I know it's not going to do well.
That's like when I put anchovies on a pizza 2 days ago, and my staff hates me for it. And they're like, "Why do we stock anchovies?" I'm like, "Because I freaking love anchovies on a pizza." Yeah. And they're like, "So what do you made a whole pizza? What'd you put on it?" And I'm like, "Well, I took pineapple, which I used to hate, right? And I roasted it with hot honey. I see your little Mike's Hot Honey sign in the back.
Yeah.
And I roasted it with Mike's Hot Honey. Absolutely loved it. Put it on top with onions and anchovies, and all day long, I mean, it just sat there. And I ended up taking the pie home, which is another problem. And we should probably have a whole different podcast about pizzeria owners like me who have zero self-control and just end up vacuuming pizza.
It's so hard. It's very hard not to do that. I used to go to the gym every day in between, so if I went to work, we would be open 11 days a week. We'd be open 7 days a week, like 11 to 10, 11 on Friday, Saturday. And when I was first starting out in business, I was there every day, all day. My day off was Sunday, and it was like I worked from 9 to 5. That was my day off. Every other day I was there open and close. So like in between that, I'd go to the gym just because I needed a break. But I'm with you. It was hard not to eat pizza, especially like pizza at first thing in the morning coming out of the oven, that first pizza that comes out, and you're like, man, that looks so good. It's hard not to eat that. But I'm with you.
Yeah.
It's hard. It's definitely a
struggle's
challenge.
real as the kids say. The struggle is real.
That's true. I think you're doing it. So do you do your Instagram? Speaking of Instagram and like posting stuff out there?
Yeah. Can't you see how terrible it is? It's all me.
It's not bad. Listen, people always there's no like there's guidelines, but it varies based on the business, based on the location. So you got to like test things out to see what works for you.
Well, so you said something, and again, I'm showing you. I listen. All right, I listen. I just haven't really done anything about it yet. But I'm dead set on this YouTube thing that you've been talking about. And so I went and set up a YouTube account. I haven't done a damn thing with it yet. But it's interesting because I got people in my life. Some of them are motivational speakers. Some of them are coaches. Some of them are big time sales guy. I have a sales background, and obviously salesmanship goes a long way in hospitality. But I'm looking at some of the videos I posted, like early days, right? Early days. And it did get me a lot of followers. And I was told it was because it gave us a personality and it humanized what we were doing. Early days doing Instagram lives and being like, well, there was 45-minute wait today, and that's just what we estimated, and it really was more than that. And I don't understand why people are so patient with me, because I sure as hell am not this patient when I go out to eat.
Right.
So thank you guys. And like just total, like you can hear and feel the pain in my voice because I did nothing to hide it.
Yeah.
And so that started tracking. Well, lately, no one wants to see my face, which is fantastic because I never wanted to put my face out to begin with.
How do you know that? How do you know they don't want to see it?
I don't know. The videos don't seem to do as well when I don't know.
Define do well.
I have no idea, Bruce. I have no clue.
Well. All right, so I think that's what in this business what we need to do is define well. I think sometimes people think work well means it didn't get a lot of likes or a lot of views or it didn't go viral. But did you get customers from it? Like sometimes if you do your face to camera, you'll be like, I get 4 likes. Know?
Right? Like if they don't follow, right? Forget about the likes. Forget about the views. If they follow, that's a potential somebody who's going to see your videos and want to come by. In my opinion, I don't know anything, and I know what I know, and that's it.
I think you only know over time. You don't know by one video or 2 videos.
There's no empirical data here. There's no empirical data.
I think you have to consistently do it over time, and then you get to know, or say something in the video that like only you said in that video. So then, if someone mentions that,
All right, so we're gonna do a little test here. It's a stupid video. It's gonna come out here in a couple days.
Okay,
we'll tease it we'll tease it together.
All right.
But I'm asked, what's the right amount of ranch? And again, I was never a ranch guy. Like didn't like ranch on my pizza. But I started making ranch, and we make our own ranch, and we use really cool stuff in our ranch. And I'm like, I think I did a video a couple days ago, and it was like, hey, what's the right amount of ranch to put? And I dunked the whole slice of pizza in the thing.
I saw that.
And then no, because I haven't submitted it yet.
Oh, okay.
But
someone did something like that.
I took a bite of it, and then like the hot take, I'm gonna leave in there. I'm like, that is way too much ranch. So we'll see. We'll see if it works.
Put it out there. You never know. But back to YouTube. So you're gonna start a YouTube. What are you gonna do for YouTube?
Well, you can tell me, but I've got some buddies who are saying the YouTube platform, the long format, platform of posting on YouTube, it lends itself to some kind of a story, some kind of a follow my journey, and so I'm toying with the ideas of some kind of so you want to open a pizzeria, or A day in the life, which has been done. Patio Pizza. I don't know if you've interviewed him, but
No.
you should check him out. He's on Instagram, Patio Pizza. He's a sole operator. I think he just hired his first employee. God bless him. He DM'd me like a month or a week into opening, and we kind of chatted a little bit. But this idea of you know putting out a video of like, this is what my day looks like, and this is what we struggle with, and you know I don't know. I'm trying to understand because Instagram, I'm told that my format for Instagram is too long. I used to do some radio. I did a little bit of video work for my dad's company, and
So I,
so
I have an idea for you. I want to put
yeah,
this out there. Now, somebody's going to take this and run. This is what I would do. Have you ever seen the show The Office?
yes,
I would do that for pizza.
yeah,
I would be like, you sit like you're sitting there. Now you're gonna have to hire somebody to edit it for you, and almost like you're gonna have to have some faith that it's gonna work out, because you're gonna have to hire someone probably full time as a videographer who videos or can edit for you if you want to take all the video yourself. But like you sitting there and being like talking about something that's gonna happen in your day, and then like someone's gonna have to be there recording stuff that goes on throughout the day, and then like kind of splice it together, maybe interview one of your staff about something that happened that day, but like just a serious tone. I think that's more of what would work on YouTube than honesty. Here's how my day went. I don't think anybody would really care about that. I think you have to have a little
I'm right
bit of
there with you.
I think you have to have a little bit of an entertaining factor to it and some comedy in there. But I think that would
So
work.
the office meets West Coast Choppers is what you're saying, because it's a real business.
Yeah, something like that, exactly. But like, be funny about it, right? Like, try to bring out your personality in a funny way, because that's gonna be what people are gonna want to come back to see over and over and over again. And then I would do that, and then I would do TikTok lives. I would just put the camera
TikTok
out
lives.
on TikTok. The hour or two it's busy, and just kind of like show the kitchen and show us making pizza. Live videos right now on TikTok are really performing really well. The only problem with that is you have to have so many followers in order to be able to get to that. So you got to kind
I've
of,
got 14.
yeah, you got to have 1,000, I think. So you either have to run some ads, because if you run some ads, you can get followers pretty quick, or create some content on there that you can get to 1,000 followers. But if you can get to 1,000 followers, I think it's 1,000. Don't quote me on that. But if you can do TikTok lives, I think that's another place that I would spend some time. So those two things right there. Because then if you do the long form video on YouTube, you can kind of cut clips out to put on Instagram.
That's not a bad idea.
There's a place. You know who does this really well? There's a car place on TikTok. I think it's called Mohawk Automotive. Mohawk Automotive. They do this. They do this exact thing. Like, it's a girl who started working there as an intern or a content creator, and she just like, I'm gonna recreate The Office, but for this. Like, go watch that. Do it for pizza, because I think pizza is more interesting than an automotive place. So like, copy what they're doing style wise, but do it for a pizza place. Now you better hurry up, because it's going to go out to thousands of people, and they're going to be all listening to this.
They're all going to be doing it. It's going to be
have 47 shows of The Office on YouTube.
the Pizzeria. Yeah.
But it might be interesting. Like, and I think that everybody's going to have their own take and their own personalities in it. So pizza's really big on YouTube. Like, if you can show pizzerias, people like that information.
Well, I'm just trying to think, what persona am I gonna be? Michael Scott? Am I gonna be Jim? Am I gonna be Dwight? Like,
Yeah. You gotta who you gotta ask people around you. Which one am I?
Right.
Don't think
Which
about
office
yourself.
character am I?
Like,
I went around and I did the "What's your favorite '80s song" the other day, and I just realized, how no one even. I mean, like, half of the kids, they're kids. They don't.
They're born 2000, right? Yeah. What was I saying? Oh, you ever heard of Elio's Pizza? Like the frozen pizza?
It's who's posting about it is Wallace. Chris Wallace has been posting a lot about it. He opened up his shop in Ozzy's a Pizza in New Haven. He just been posting. I'd never heard about it before, and all of a sudden I'm hearing about this frozen pizza that everybody's apparently raving about.
So I used to eat it when I was a kid. They followed me on Instagram yesterday. Back to like the young kids thing. They followed me on Instagram the other day, and I used to eat it when I was growing up. It was like just an easy microwave or oven pizza that my mom used to get, and is like after school snack or something. Before I knew what good pizza was, let me just put that out there. But they followed me, and I was like, oh man, Elio's followed me on Instagram, and I'm like, told my kids, I'm like, do you guys even know what Elio's is? They're like, no, what's Elio's? I'm like, Dang. Like that's like such a 90s kids thing.
So was it an East Coast? Was it an East Coast brand that? Because I don't know that I ever recall seeing it.
It might be. It's like a frozen square pizza that used to be pretty popular when I was a kid. But like when we were kids, like trash food was like the thing, right? Like no one knew about all the quality ingredients. I feel like they do now.
So I'm half Greek, half Persian, right?
Okay.
And there's
My wife's Greek.
oh, there you go. Look at
Yeah.
that. So I mean, you can go look at all the stereotypes. You know, my big fat Greek wedding, which you ask your
Yeah.
wife. I'm pretty sure we could all put our uncles and aunts and grandparents up as a better cast than the cast that was
Oh yeah,
actually.
I got baptized just like that dude did in that movie to get married.
All the oil, yeah.
Yeah.
So I mean, like it's hilarious because I, as a kid, found myself with all these leftovers, and all I wanted was like a white toast peanut butter and jelly
Yeah.
sandwich. Like someone sent me with a stupid Lunchable, pizza making
Yeah.
kit, and I never got it. And then years later, I'm like, God, thanks, mom and dad. In so many ways,
Yep.
you saved me. But at the end of the day, there is some crazy draw to these brands. I still, no matter how much I prefer a higher end pizza. I love a good Domino's every now and again.
I don't know if I'd
Um,
go that far.
yeah, well, I mean, I kind of regret saying it now, but let's say I love a good Domino's after a certain time in a certain environment,
Yeah.
whatever. Sometimes it's nice to just not have to make it, right? Like,
Yeah, you're right.
but my problem is I'm getting high on my own product.
Yeah. That's what happens when you make a good pizza, though. You gotta. It's a high bar for everybody else to get to.
Yeah, so you were talking a little bit about the email marketing, and I find that really intriguing because I've been I've been feeling like email, people are so inundated with email that there's just like this exhaustion and, numbing of, I mean, I have hundreds, if not thousands of emails that go unread.
Same.
Um, so, uh, pushing back a little on that, is that really, you think, working for some of your clients?
Yeah. It depends on what the email is. Like, no one wants to. I think people mistake story. Everybody says, "Oh, you need to tell your story," and yes, that's important in some aspects of marketing, not in an email. In an email, people want to know like what's in it for me, and how do I get it. Like, so if you do an email, you don't need to tell me your damn life story in the email. I don't care. I'm not going to read 14 paragraphs from a pizzeria about how last Tuesday was the greatest day of your life. Like, I don't give a shit. All I care about is like, why are you sending me this email and what's in it for me? So if it's like a picture of a pizza and it says, hey, get this tonight, $2 off, click here. Like, that's all you need to do. If you do it that way, I think it can work. I
But
think
aren't
people,
the spam filters so tight these days that that's going to be showing up as maybe spam or in promotions, or like, is it even going to get to the inbox these days?
well, here's the thing. There's got to be a strategy. Do you use Hunger Rush, do they do email marketing inside of that?
They claim to, and I have yet to get a straight answer on how it's working because I haven't seen it work.
Okay, so you got to have the best way to get online ordering and email marketing to work together is to have a platform that can do it inside of the point of sale system. So this is how it would work. Yes, spam filters are high, and if you just blast everybody with MailChimp, it's probably not going to work that well. You got to use your point of sale system because you know the people who order online, they get like a confirmation email or they get a receipt or something like that in their inbox. What you need to do is go in there and, all right, my point of sale system needs to do this. When someone orders online, it sends them an email either 24 hours later or a few hours later that says, hey, this is Darius from Slice Street Pizza. I saw you got an order. How was everything? Reply to this email, goes right back to me. And then you're going to get a lot of people to reply, oh, it was great. You're going to get some that say, oh, you forgot my ranch.
Right.
But that would have
Which is
complained
a
somewhere
thing.
else.
Yeah.
And if you didn't have that email, they wouldn't have replied. They may have gone to become a non-customer, or they may have gone to leave you a 1-star review because you forgot something. So you're fighting that off too. But
Sure.
you're also sending a signal to the email providers that they replied to your email. So any future email, as long as it's not trash, is going to go to their main inbox. You'll have a few at bats to be able to like go right to their main inbox. But then if your emails aren't good, they're going to ignore them and then they will go to spam. So there's a strategy, but your point of
So
sale system has to work with you. It's not going to work through
yeah,
MailChimp.
yeah, yeah. That's what we got to figure out.
Yeah.
I think the missing piece. They send out a survey, and the survey I feel does a okay job of preventing people from going straight, online. Um,
Anybody
but the
listening to
survey is
this right
also
now,
old. Yeah.
your point of sale system can do it. Like functionality wise, it can do it. It's a matter of if they want to do the work to set it up to make it work for you. Because
No,
every online ordering platform sends a receipt. So I know you can send them something.
right.
It's just a matter of like, do you have the back end infrastructure to set it up the way I want it to work?
Yeah, and well, then the other thing is, do you have the time to set it up? Because one of the biggest struggles is you pay for a service, and they're like, yeah, well, if you set it up, you can do it, and it's like,
We
whoa,
used to
whoa, whoa,
use
whoa, whoa.
we
I'm
used to
paying for
use
it. You're not setting it up for me?
well, we used to use Food Tech Solutions. They're a sponsor of the podcast, by the way. They do a good job. That's the one we used to use. But it's great for people who do their own deliveries because they had a whole back end system just for delivery and a map and everything. It worked great. But they did this really well. And we worked with them to get this to work really well. Like they would send people emails on their birthday. If they haven't ordered in 30, 60, 90 days, you could set it all up.
Right.
Initially, it takes a lot of work up front to set it all up. But once it's set up, it was kind of like set and forget. Like we have a system in place to be like, anytime somebody orders today, tomorrow they get this email. The day after that, they get this email. 2 days after that, they get this email. And it would just work. But it was a lot of work to set up. But once you have it all set up and you have the emails written out and you would know what you want to say and you go in there and you set up all the parameters, it worked phenomenal. But we wouldn't have been able to do it with like a Hunger Rush system that doesn't do email.
Well, so I think they do. I think they do because they set something up in the beginning. I just don't get any form of reporting over whether it's working or not. So I'm like kind of operating on this blind faith that it's being done because they said 30, 60, 90 in the beginning. I haven't seen it because I've put orders in. I've never seen anything come out. So
Yeah.
that's and that, I guess no one prepared me for that. Right? There's a million systems, right?
There is.
The tech stack in the mortgage game was pretty abysmal when I was doing that full time. And the tech stack here it's getting better, but I mean, it is. You've got all these different systems that you're supposed to keep track of. And I think I'm keeping track of none of them very well.
Yeah, I would. So if I'm a pizza shop, the thing that I would do when I'm choosing a point of sale system is like, who just works with pizza shops? Because if you work with coffee shops or restaurants, totally different ballgame than a pizza shop. Like, you can't go get a half. Well, I guess you can at Starbucks. What the hell am I saying? Like half this, half that. But it's a different thing, right? Like you don't usually order that online, or there's different reports that you need and different. I would like, all right, what point of sale system specifically works with pizza shops only? Because there's enough pizza shops for these businesses to be able to have enough customers if their product is good. It's not like there's a lack of pizza shops. So that's what I would look for. And I think Food Tech, that's the one we went with because it only does pizza shops.
Yeah, I should look at them too then. Yeah.
It's kind of expensive though. Like they're not cheap, but it's like, what do I want to do? Do I want to invest time in a point of sale system that's done? Or do I want to invest time in a point of sale system that is kind of done and it's cheap, but I'm going to spend tons of time trying to run reports or trying to figure this out or trying to figure that out or making this work or calling back this customer because it doesn't. So like there's a give and take.
Well, what I'm trying, I mean, here we are, 8 months, right? I'm trying really hard to keep myself out of the shop and empower the staff. I know they're going to make mistakes. I tell them all the time, I know you're going to make mistakes. I'm not here to be pissed when you make a mistake. I'm here to see how you recover. Like, how do you deal with the mistakes that you make? If you burn a pizza, if you burn them every day, we're going to have problems, right?
Right.
But if you burn a pizza, which the only way you burn a pizza running through an impinger, which is weird, right? Here I am, Mr. Quality. I want to do all these cool things and I'm running through an impinger, but we're making it work. You're going to burn a pizza. Do you give it out? Do you fix it? Right? If you forgot someone's ranch or if you forgot someone's salad, do you just shrug your shoulders and, not change what you're doing? Or do you find a way to fix it? And then do you contact them and say, hey, my bad.
Right.
Here's $5 off for next time or, whatever. So for me, it's trying to get out of the store. And I've, for the most part, been out of the store for the last month or so. And I think and you can correct me, but I think my focus needs to be in the sales side of things, bringing more, of my customers back, bringing more new customers in, trying to turn on like a lot of these small pizzerias that have a product that's just as good, maybe a little worse, maybe a little bit better. They're doing 50 pizza orders on a Tuesday and a Wednesday and a Thursday and a Friday, and they've gotten the school on board, and they've gotten all these different places on board. So my thought is, I think I need to be focusing on that kind of hand-to-hand guerrilla combat, get out there and get the brand out there. But I mean, you've done this before. Is that the way to play in month 8?
Do you feel confident that if you got a significant amount of customers in the door without you there, that your staff could handle it properly?
Yes, I'm very confident if I have my A team, right? If for whatever reason we stay slow for too much longer, I'm going to lose my A team.
Yeah.
Right.
So then you do need to do that. I think you need to get email going, text going, and then you get it yourself out there and like use the big order. See, what happens with big orders is they usually don't want to pay full price, so you give them a significant discount. So you're actually doing more work for. So say someone wants 50 pizzas, right, at a 10% discount. Like, what's your profit margin? So you're going to do a lot of work for a tiny bit of money, or you could just continue to satisfy the customers that walk in the door and try to get those customers to maybe order something else on top of their order, or come back twice a week instead of once a week. So what do you want to spend your time on? A lot of people want those big orders, but sometimes those are a pain in the ass, and you don't make as much money as you think you do on them.
Well, and I would love to find out who has like nailed this, but how do you keep these damn pizzas warm? There's only so much warming oven space. There's only so much space on top of the oven.
Well, every time we would do something like that, we would deliver them in spurts. So if someone ordered 100 pizzas from us, we wouldn't wait to deliver them 100 pizzas. We'd be like, all right, this is how we're going to do it. You're going to get 20 at this time, 20 at this time, 20 at this time, and 20 at that time. So that by the time you hand out the first batch, the second batch is coming nice and hot. And we had heated delivery bags, so like we plugged them in. I'm in New England, so it was cold as fuck here in the winter. So you needed to like have bags heated. Like there was a heating element in the bag to keep the bags warm. So that's something that you could do for that. But back to getting marketing. Yeah, I think you need to set up your email. You need to do text, and then you need to get out there and like shake hands, and kiss babies, so as they say, to kind of let people know what you're doing. Give away free stuff. I'd rather give away.
I'm good at that.
Yeah.
I mean, sometimes too good, right? Like the staff is like, I had one of my staff members say, "What are we gonna do with this extra pizza I made?" And I'm like, "Let's give it to the next customer and just tell them it's their lucky day."
Yeah.
She goes, "How about we sell it for 50% off?" And I'm like, "Okay, wow, look, my employee wants to make more money than I do."
Yeah, right. Well, sometimes free is better than 50% off. If someone says to me, "Here's this pizza. We made an extra pizza. We're just gonna give it to you," I'd be like, "Oh man, thanks." If that same scenario happens, and we've been through this, someone comes in and be like, "Hey, we made this extra pizza. Do you want it for 50% off?" I'm like, where was that pizza? Like, why are you trying to get me for 50% off if you made an extra pizza? Like, what's going on here? Yeah. My skepticism comes up. But if you just give someone the pizza, then it's like, oh man, they gave me an extra pizza. Like, they're gonna talk about that to friends. Yeah. Is someone gonna talk about their friends, you selling them a pizza for 50% off? Probably not.
Gotta go with my gut more is what you're saying.
Exactly. Exactly. Sometimes it's about like, all right, is this message gonna spread? Are they gonna spread it for me?
So I know that this is your show, and I shouldn't be asking so many damn questions. So first of all, thank you for giving me the platform.
No, this is great. This is what I wanted to do with the podcast, because it's like a different kind of episode. I like this a lot.
It's fun. I'm curious. What do you've answered this question, I think, quite a few times. Like, what would you do if you were a pizzeria owner, right? But what I haven't heard is if you were running a pizza shop today. Is there a product? Is there a type of pizza? Is there what is something that you would be doing on the food side of things? A specific special or whatever that you think, gosh, I wish these places would run.
Oh, that's a good idea. Man, I mean, I'll tell you what, pizza's getting expensive. You know, it's, and I know why, and there's not much you can do about it, but I think there's ways to manage the business to keep the cost of the pizza as low as possible. I think the way to go about it nowadays is not to try to be the highest. I think a lot of places go like, oh, I have to charge this much, and it is what it is. I'm just going to charge this much, and I'm going to try to compete. I think you need to, I would try to balance making what I want to make, because I'm very much like, I'm the opposite of you. I'm like, I don't give a shit. I'm not making that. Like, I'm not selling subs in my pizza shop. I'm just not doing it. I don't give a shit how many people come in and ask. I'm not doing it. I'm going to sell 5 pizzas. I'm going to sell the style of pizza that I like. And I'm going to try to keep the costs low. I'm not going to try to gouge people and be the most expensive place. I'm going to try to serve the best pizza I possibly can at the cheapest price I can possibly make it to still be able to make money. And I think there's a category of pizza shop in there that could compete in every market. I think most people are either like the typical sub shop where they have everything and they try to compete on price, but they're not really different. And then you have these artisan pizza shops that are like really expensive because they do something different, but they're kind of pricing themselves out of like the family pizza shop. That's my opinion. I don't know food wise if I do anything out of the ordinary. I'm a pretty simple guy.
Yeah, I got football season coming up, right? We're in Texas.
Yeah.
We got Friday Night Lights, which is a whole new experience for me. And you know, I had no idea, but they broadcast, you know, the games on radio from the high school, right? Like,
oh wow,
it's a big deal. So, and the number one thing I get asked is wings. And this is where I am like you. This is where I have been like you. I'm like, the hell I am running wings through my, like, I don't want to flash. No,
I wouldn't do that.
No.
That's tough. Like I was at this, as you're saying that, I'm like, I know what you're going to say. And it's like, I have the experience of operating for 20 plus years plus doing this podcast. So it's very easy for me to say what I would do.
Sure.
Because I have all of that experience that I could leverage towards like what I want to go. So I wouldn't be in an area where the pizzeria that I want to do would be subject to people asking me for things that I didn't want to do. Does that make sense?
That's fair.
You know,
That's
so
fair.
Sometimes you're in an area, if a lot of people are asking for wings, and like sometimes as much as I wouldn't want to do that, if I didn't know what I knew and I opened a place where everybody was doing that, sometimes you got to do something you don't want to do. As hard as that is for me to say.
I'm playing. I mean, I have to admit, I'm playing with wings, but I'm not playing with wings that are going to turn out like a Domino's or a Pizza Hut wing. That's, you know, by the time you get it, you're just chewing on, you know, rubbery skin. It's just not fun.
Well, this was really good. I'm glad you did this. This is fun.
Well, thank you for having me. And I again, I mean, this is what, 58 minutes. Let's see, like, of what? I don't know how this is valuable to your followers, but, you know, thank you. I don't feel like I deserved any form of an interview, but I have to say, really appreciate it.
I actually think this is probably one of the better podcasts I've done, to be quite honest, because I think there's most of the time we talk to someone, it's like, how'd you get started? What's your story like? But I think we talked a lot about a lot of tactical, tangible things in this podcast that a lot of other pizzeria owners are thinking about, and they can listen to this and be like, all right, that's something I can do. We talked about a lot of stuff.
Well, I appreciate it. It was a fun conversation. I mean, heck, I'd love to be able to have conversations like this on a regular basis, just to, you know, do a sanity check. I think we found some cracks in my sanity in this.
Well, stay tuned.
In this interview.
Speaking of layer, I got to run in 2 minutes. I have another one at 12, but real quick. Speaking of a layer from Slice, we got something in the works. So what you said is you want to do this like once a month to talk to me or other owners. Stay tuned for something. We might have something coming up.
Right.
That's valuable for you. And it's going to be free. So it's going to be really interesting to see that. So stay tuned for that.
Hey, when are you coming to Texas?
Stay tuned. I think I have some plans. I don't want to give out an exact date, but I think I do have some plans that we're working on something.
Well, come, let's make a pizza together.
All right, we'll do that for sure. Where can people go check you out before you go?
Hey, we're online at Slice Street Pizza, slicestreetpizza.com. And of course, you know, obviously the new version of the Pizzeria coming to YouTube soon.
There you go. The office / pizza shop. Darius, don't go anywhere yet, but thank you so much for hanging out with me. This was fun.
Appreciate it, Bruce. Cheers.